An organization has filed suit called America First Legal. This is their press release. America First Legal sues Washington governor to block state-sanctioned kidnapping bill that allows state to hide kids seeking gender transition from parents. And so my initial question was, okay, what is their constitutional basis for the legal challenge? I'll also note that, and I'll discuss that momentarily, but it sounds like this was interesting. The America First Legal, Stephen Miller, who used to be a Trump advisor, this is like his entity or whatever, but they said in a news release that it said, citing, this is from our friends over at the Center Square, citing remarks made by state lawmakers, the lawsuit filed in U.S. District Court in Western Washington notes that, quote, nothing in the statute requires any finding that the parents kicked the child out of the home or in any other way neglected or abused their child to trigger the various constitutional infringements to parents that SB 5599 authorizes. And that's true. And that had been what I thought was one of the biggest lies told about 5599 is, oh, this is just to protect kids from parents who kick them out on the streets and they have nowhere else to go. Okay, I'm sure that that might be the case in some of these instances, but there's nothing in the law that says that. There's nothing in the law that has any sort of standard where a kid shows up and says, hey, if I'm not allowed to stay here, then my parents won't let me stay there, so I'm going to be homeless. And that was really, I think that was the way the Democrats tugged at people's heartstrings and said, if we don't do this, then kids are going to be homeless out on the streets and they're going to be trafficked. And they were first of all, they were assigning the worst intentions to every single parent in Washington state. And they were they were creating a bill based on a worst case scenario, a scenario that I don't even know exists. So I totally understand their rationale here. The statement goes on to say, in the eyes of these legislators, the parents' sin need be nothing more than the parents' desire to allow their child to mature before making permanent life-altering decisions about whether the child will ever be capable of becoming a biological parent. And then it goes on to say, from a constitutional basis, when it comes to how are they challenging 5599, it says that it infringes on parental constitutional rights under the First and 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution based on numerous U.S. Supreme Court cases concerning parental rights. And so I think this was expected and anticipated that there would be some sort of lawsuit. You know, there was an effort to get a referendum on the ballot. That failed. There's this lawsuit. We'll see where this goes. There's also an initiative to the legislature that is ongoing. So there are various efforts, thankfully, to try to roll back what I really believe is a misguided, albeit maybe well-intended in some lawmakers, it tugged at their heartstrings and they didn't fully understand or care to comprehend what they were supporting. But I think it's not only misguided, but I think if we can't find a way to stop 5599, I'm really scared about what's going to come up this next legislative session, because I think it emboldens them to say, hey, you know, we can parent better than you can, and we're going to make laws that give the government more right to tell kids you can do these things without parental consent, and that's just not right. It's not common sense. That shouldn't be political. It bothers me that this has become a left and right issue when I know that there's a whole swath of Washingtonians in the middle who understand that, again, maybe some lawmakers were well-intended. They wanted to protect kids who are going through a challenging season in their life, but this is not the way to go about it. Making it easier for kids to run away from home and away from what could be a very loving family unit is just absurd. It's ridiculous. So we are, of course, going to track this lawsuit through the system to see if it has any legs. I mean, in Washington state, I wouldn't necessarily hold your breath, but I'm glad someone is going for it to see what happens.